Wherever you may be, however we can help you, welcome. My name is Aaron Menzer. I'm with Retirement Understood. Last week, I mostly just told family stories. We talked a little bit about what an estate plan is, why it's important, what can happen if you don't have a solid estate plan, and why it's important to get it done and keep it updated after you do get it done, so that your estate or the components of your estate transfer as seamlessly and painlessly as possible to your loved ones or your beneficiaries, whoever that may be. I was actually waiting for a friend for dinner the other night, watching the Vikings get eviscerated by the Chargers, which I'm a Packer fan, so that was great for me. And I was talking to a guy at the bar while I was waiting for my friend, and he said, he's from California, and we were just chatting about what we do, and, he's in medication research or something like that. But he said he's going through his parents' estate right now. He's the executor. He's from, like I said, out west. And he's going through their estate, and he said it's not that hard. Nobody's fighting over anything. It's not super difficult, but he's had to go to probate hearings. He's going through the probate process, and he says it's more of a hassle than anything. I don't know how long it had taken for him at this point. I don't think everything's settled yet. And that's the thing. Not everything is going to be a disaster or a terrible, terrible experience. But it can be. A lot of times it's really just more hassle. So today I want to talk a little bit about what is an estate plan, what are some of the key terms and definitions, things that you'll use, components of an estate plan, what that looks like. And then next time we'll break it down a little bit further. We'll talk about trusts and wills and how those are different, what the different types are, and when we use those in estate planning. So first, what is an estate? I'm not talking about a castle and a moat and servants and a butler. If you've got that, great, congratulations. But really, I'm talking about 5 different components to your estate, or most people's estates. You may have all of these, you may have none of them. But the first one is property. So whether that's a primary residence, it's your grandparents' farm that you inherited that you now rent out, Airbnb, the vacation home up north. Second's going to be vehicles. So your RV, your minivan, the Corvette your spouse didn't want you to buy. After that, we've got money, right? Checking, savings, CDs, investment accounts, 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs. There are a million different investment vehicles, but the cash you have. My uncle had, 20 years of Green Bay Packer bar pool winnings, literally in envelopes marked from like 2005 on up when he passed away last year. So money, right? You may or may not have a business. Maybe you sell Legos on YouTube as a side hustle or TikTok as a side hustle. Maybe you own a retirement planning firm or a law firm. Maybe you own a gas station down the street. And then the last thing, there's a really technical term for it. It's got 4 letters, starts with an S. But in this case for YouTube, I'm gonna use the word stuff. So all your stuff, whether that's your great-grandmother's engagement ring or whether it's the red Solo cups you've got sitting on your counter at home. Okay, so those 5 parts are basically the major parts of your estate: property, vehicles, money, businesses, and all your stuff. What are the components of a good estate plan? And your estate plan may have some of these, may have all of these. It depends how it's set up. Again, I'm going to iterate that it's important to talk to a professional about your estate. My contact info number will be at the end. Phone number will be at the end. Just call me, text me, shoot me an email. I'm happy to talk to you or talk to a professional in your area about your estate and kind of what's going to work best for you. But major components are going to be a will or a trust or both, a durable power of attorney for finance, healthcare power of attorney, a healthcare directive or a living will, so final wishes. May also include it's going to include beneficiary designations. So where do you want your stuff to go when you pass away? And it may include things like obituaries funeral arrangements. So what is a will? A will is a legal document that specifies how a person's assets should be distributed after they pass away. It can include guardianship instructions, can include final wishes. In Wisconsin, a will is really only useful in probate court. It's meant to give the court commissioner or the judge a guideline or an outline of how you want your estate divided, and then they make the decisions about how your stuff eventually transfers to your beneficiaries or any debtors that may be. You may have a trust. So a trust is a legal arrangement where one party, the grantor, grants a second party, the trustee, the right to hold and manage assets for a third party, the beneficiary. Your trustee and your beneficiary may or may not be the same person, but essentially it's a legal entity meant to hold and distribute assets for your beneficiaries of your estate. What is probate? Probate is the legal process of retitling a dead person's assets. Generally, it includes validating the will, paying debts, distributing the assets to heirs. Generally, on average, I would say we see probate lasting between 6 and 36 months. Generally costs between 3 and 8% of the estate, the total value of the estate. So whether that's property, money, vehicles, business, everything together, about 3 to 8%. And it can be a complicated process, especially if people are fighting over what's theirs, whether that's an estranged son or an ex-wife or whoever. Anybody can contest a will in probate and say you owe them money. At least in Wisconsin, it's very easy to do. And so when we're setting up estate plans, we generally try to set them up so that your estate will avoid probate. It just makes it a lot easier and a lot cheaper for your family. So what are power of attorneys? Those are documents granting the power to make certain decisions. So durable power of attorney for finance. So if you have a stroke or in a coma, you can't pay your bills, who's paying the hospital bills for you? Who's able to write those checks? The electric bill, keeping the heat on at your home. And then healthcare power of attorney. So that's who can make the medical decisions for you. So if you need to go into a nursing home because you have dementia, or if God forbid you're on life support, are they going to pull the plug? Are they going to keep you on life support? What are your final wishes? Who's making that decision for you? Healthcare and durable power of attorney may or may not be the same person. If you've got kids, sometimes one is one is the other. But pick somebody you trust, because these are going to be the people who are going to make those decisions when you can't anymore. And then lastly, the executor. So the executor of your estate is the person who is responsible for distributing the assets to your beneficiaries or paying debts. So generally they pay debts, they pay taxes, and then distribute any assets remaining. Again, that process can be quick or it can be potentially years long. So pick somebody you trust for your executor, somebody who's willing to put the time in and make sure that your stuff is taken care of after you pass away. So again, guys, I can't express how important it is to sit down and talk with somebody. Make sure you've got an estate plan. Don't wait until the last minute. Death is hard for all of us, right? Especially the death of a close family member. People struggle with that, and it can bring out things that normally wouldn't come out of people, whether that's fighting or arguing or crying or whatever it may be. It makes times difficult. The easier you can make it for your family, your loved ones, your beneficiaries to settle your estate after you're gone, the better I think it is for everyone involved. A lot of people will take things like bank statements or account statements, investment accounts, and print off the yearly statement, keep that with their legal documents, with the power of attorneys, with life insurance, with the will or the trust, so that everything is in one spot. Let your executor, let your kids know where it is. I recommend with my older clients, write your own obituary. Don't make your kids do it, or your ex or your wife do it, or your husband do it. After when they're sitting there crying about you, write your own. Get it done, get it in place, get the estate plan in place, talk to somebody in your area, give me a call, shoot me an email. I'm happy to spend the time talking with you. I hope to talk with you soon. Next week, again, we're going to go into a little bit more about wills and trusts, why those are important and when we use them. I'll talk to you next week. Have a beautiful day and stay safe.